Okay, so just wanted to go through ways you can create your construction and really, in this case, design details for the different units you've designed. And so I've got a piece here which is something that I'd want to maybe have a more detailed view of, and so I'm going to begin by making a standard section through that. Now you can see that the section's hidden in this view, and that's not a problem. I know it's going to be the last section I've created. Got a few sections there, and I'm just going to adjust the crop region in that section to make it a bit smaller, and then focus in on the area that I've cut through. So it's actually gone maybe to one side, or not showing the exact part that I want. So I'm just going to go back into the plan view, and I have some other versions of that plan that I can use to adjust that section position, just to get it to one side of the element, and then I'm going to flip it so that it's looking the other way as well. I'll go back to that view, and there we are. So now I can see the piece fully, and then what I'm going to do is create another view from that. So this is something I don't think you would have done very much of. On the View tab, you have callouts. And so you can use these to create more detailed views from any other view. So you can create them from a section, or from a plan view, or even from a 3D view. So essentially they just let you create higher detail. So once you click on callout, then you can just make a rectangle over the area you want your callout to be taken from.
So where's callout?
Oh, it's on the View tab.
I think you call out as well on elevation.
Exactly.
Both on plan, I think.
Yeah, plan, elevation section, any of those views. And I think, I'll double check, I don't really do them from 3D views because there's other ways of doing it from 3D, but I'm pretty sure, no, you can't do it from 3D. So it's only from orthogonal views, plan, section, elevation. I'm going to show you another technique for 3D views. So now you'll see in the list of sections, it's got call out of section 11. So if I open that, you'll see it's gone down to the next scale. So section 11 was at 1 to 100. And so now this call out of section 11 is 1 to 50. But we can always change that scale and make it something different again, 1 to 20 or something. You can also adjust the crop region there to crop it further. So I might do that to hide the ground there. And then you can add in detail that's only going to show up in this view. So a lot of the detailing work you do in Revit is going to be done only in 2D. And for that you've got the Annotate tab. So once you go to Annotate, you'll see you have detail lines and regions, which are your main tools for doing detailing. Okay, so in this case I've got a bench that would be made out of timber most likely, so I'm just going to draw that up in as timber joinery detail. And so you've got really again combinations of detail lines and regions that you can use for those things mainly. And so I want it to be hatched, so I'm going to use a region to begin with. But I'll just show you detail lines first, so it's a bit clearer how regions work, because you'll see detail lines get used within the region. So with detail lines, you'll see you have these different line styles. Okay, so they'll give you most of the different line weights and line types. So whether it's dashed or not, just by using those preset line styles. I'll show you later how you can easily create your own line styles when you need them. And so you can just draw with any of these pens, and I'll just draw a few different lines so you can get an idea of the difference. So you can see here really clearly the different line weights. And then you also have, of course, the dashed lines. So some of them are coloured, so these ones in the angled brackets are grey usually. And then you've got the other ones that are not, that are just black. Okay, so you've got all those preset line styles, and I'll come back to those. And so you can just draw those anytime with detail lines. With regions, you have the same line styles available. Okay, so I might start just here with the kickboard, and okay, so I'm just going to draw a line to the right using actually a heavier line type. So I'm going to go to 0.25 pen. I don't want it to be too heavy, but I still want it to be heavy enough to indicate that it's cut. So the basic rule there is that it's if it's the envelope, so if it's the outer edge of the object, you can have it heavier than something that's on the inside. Okay, so if I just come up there, then I can come back and check that distance from the nearest edge. It's not coming up automatically, so I'll draw in a dimension. Oops, sorry, it's just frozen. So I'll draw in a dimension from the edge of my object to the line and place that down. And once you start drawing things like dimensions, you can then get an idea if the scale you're working at is going to make sense for this detail. And I can see already that it's fairly large, so instead I might go to 1 to 20, which is probably a more appropriate scale for joinery details anyway. Okay, so now using that dimension as well, I can select the line and change that size to what I want it to be, which is 20 mil. So bring this up, and then just continue that with lines again, coming across and to the left. And actually, because of my scale, I've gone to 1 to 20 now, obviously, so I can try a heavier pen with those as well. With 1 to 50, you often need to use lighter line weights, but because it is at a larger scale, 1 to 20, then you can have heavier lines. They won't bleed into each other as much. Alright, so then going along this edge, I've got the option of either just drawing with the same pen, 0.35, because it is the same line weight, and tracing over it, or using invisible lines. So where you have edges that are existing and you don't want to cover them up, you can just finish off the boundary. So that's the boundary of my region, using invisible lines. I'll just finish that so you can see now that it's going to then show something, but it's a bit messy actually. So I'll undo that, or I'll just edit that boundary again, and I'll change them to the same thing, to 0.35, just so it reads as a continuous element. That's not too bad. Okay, so that's done the boundary, but it's just got a solid grey hatch. Now for timber, if it's finished timber, you should have a different hatch. But for timber like this, you can just have a diagonal cross hatch. But that one is a bit large. At 1 to 10, we'll see we should get more dashes, but it's still, again, a bit too big. So I'm going to go and, again, select that that region. They're just like hatches in AutoCAD. And then when you go to Edit Type, you can put your own, or adjust the fill pattern. So I'm just going to hit browse there where it's got diagonal crosshatch, and we've got our ones here. So I'm going to try. So before I change that, I'll duplicate this type, and I'll give it a new name. I'll call it diagonal crosshatch small, and then just change it to one of these smaller patterns and see how they look. Okay, that's better, but I might even go for a smaller one. So again, edit type, change the pattern to this 1 mil pattern. There we go, so that's even better. Alright, so then I can do the other pieces of timber and just try and think about the construction. You won't always get it right, but usually you can work it out pretty well with things like this. So again, back to region, and then I can just keep drawing lines. I'll change the pattern to my new diagonal crosshatch small, and then again using the 0.35 lines, and just either draw lines, or I can use pick lines as well to pick any existing edges, which can save quite a bit of time. And so here you'd have an angle. They'd have to have that framed, so it would be well, either that or a solid piece is the other way of doing it. And let's just check that distance. 70 mil, that's not too bad. You could do that as solid, but well, I'll show you how to do it framed. So with the pieces there, so I'll do that all separately. And so you again still using pick lines. I'll put in a 20 mil offset there, and then back to drawing lines. Got to put the offset back to 0, and then again so just making rectangles like that. And yeah, I'm just going to do this as solid timber. I'm not going to have it upholstered, so still just using a region. Another way of drawing it is using rectangle. Another way. And I'll move this out. So lots of different ways you can draw your lines. It's just like AutoCAD. There's always 100 ways you can draw these things. Oops, sorry, not 200, 20. And then one more for the angled piece, and then I just need to do the framing. And actually the back would be enclosed as well, so I'll do actually just a rectangle for that. Okay, so here again with an offset, you get that second arc, and then just draw some lines. Okay, so they'd be the exposed pieces, and then you'd need some basic stud framing for a piece like this. So the detail lines could be used for most of that. So using detail lines, I'll just draw again with the 0.35 pen, and it would probably just be 50 mil studs here. So coming down 50, actually across, come back and adjust that and make the other way 50 as well. So the standard way of showing a stud is to have a cross. So again, just using detail lines, and I'll set it to the lightest line weight, which is 0.1. Just draw a cross through there, something like that. And then with the next one up, 0.18 pen, I'll draw a line that comes down to show the piece in elevation. Now, if you really want to get organised, you can make a detail family out of the stud. But I'm just going to do it the way you would in AutoCAD and copy or mirror this line over to the other side, or all of those lines. So I'm just going to actually use copy, take that over, and then copy this line across. And again, copy, except for the line on the left. And then just fill in any extra lines I need. And we'd need to have another piece, another blocking piece in between. So, oops, there we are. So I'll just copy that across. So this one would be a piece that they'd trim back to fit the curve, something like that. Yep, that'll do it. So then with again more detailed lines, I could just draw in the extra parts you'd see in projection or in elevation, connecting those things. So again, another copy. Of, yep, all of those lines down. Sorry, that's just phrasing. There we go. So just move that right to the bottom. Yep, that would work. And then again, copied across. And copied down. They probably could do a lot of this with box framing, but this is just showing you the traditional way of building something like this, which is fully framed. There we go. So then just one more line. There we go, something like that. So with the, oh yeah, and still another line missing. Okay, then still with detail lines, I can draw any extra ones I need. And, oh yeah, and still just the final line going from there, there, and there to there. Yeah, so that would work, or an even maybe slightly simpler way of doing it would be instead to have the piece here over to there, and yeah, that one brought up. That would work too. So have it like this. Yeah, that actually, yeah, they'd just be able to fix that there, so that would be okay, and then you could bring this one up. of that work? Would it? Oh yes, we just need to have a couple more lines coming back. So they just be a simple blocking piece. It seems like it might seem like a lot of work, but this is what they need to do to build it. And actually, that would have to be yeah, a full blocking piece all the way. I think it was probably needed the first way, but anyhow, this is just another way of doing the same thing. And then again, more detail lines. So that's another way of doing it. But the idea there is really you're just trying to make it clear what's being cut in section and what's being shown in projection. So those again should be the lightest line weight. Oh, they are. Yep. Okay, and then also, so I can't help myself. One more line at the bottom. Yep, 0.18 going across. Okay, so then you also have the annotation. So also on the Annotate tab you've got text, and then with text you can obviously set the size in your type. So 2mm text or 2.5mm text for detailed notes is standard. And here we go with, before I make that rectangle, you need to choose the arrow type that you want. So you've got different options there for arrows, and so if you haven't used those, make sure you have a good idea about the options you've got there. And so now, after putting the arrow in, so that'd be 50 by 50 timber frame. It's often easiest to then come back and select that text, go to edit type, and you'll see then where you can change the arrow style. So that arrow style I'll set to something else. I can't stand that 15-degree arrow, so you have these much better ones. And so at least the 30, but I'll probably go for the 90-degree. There we are. And well, just need to adjust that position so it's clear. It can be a bit hard to see sometimes, so you can always adjust the arrow type as well. Right, so that's well, a little bit hard to see, so again I'll just draw some more text and using a different arrow style. Sometimes with the different segments it makes it a bit easier. So there we go, something like this. So there's nothing much to it really. I know it's time consuming, but really it's just drawing 2D lines the same way you do in AutoCAD. And then thinking about the annotation in the same way as well. So the annotation is obviously unique to each view, just like it is normally. So here, this is the call out obviously of section 11. If I go back to the original section 11, none of those things are there.
So on the call out, you can actually draw the detail section.
Exactly. Exactly.
And also like with the text as well, with the track and then one to the file table, or they can copy this.
That's right, it comes in as text in AutoCAD. Yeah. That's right, yeah, you can, yeah. And see, the advantage of doing it in Revit though is you've got the 3D things there to use as a base, and you can even tie those 2D lines and regions to the 3D thing, so if they move, it all goes together with it.
So even the hatching itself is tracked.
Yeah, oh yeah, it comes in. I mean, it's the same pattern files used to make them. So when you open this in AutoCAD, it'll be an AutoCAD hatch pattern already. So it works really well. They work hand in hand. So you can do all your details in Revit, or you can do as much as you want to in Revit and then take it into AutoCAD and finish it off there.
So on the proper realization, you won't have all the
That's right, only on the detail. Yeah, exactly. And the other good thing though about doing it in Revit is that it's all referenced within Revit. So now on section 11, I've got this call out reference, which I can place anywhere. I can put that on the other side or anywhere else. And then once section 11 goes onto a sheet, okay, so I'll just make a new sheet. Okay, so I'll put section 11 onto my sheet. And then call out of section 11 onto the same sheet. I'll put that over to one side. Well, actually, let's just move the section over to one side. Okay, so then you'll see that's referenced. So this is drawing number 2 on sheet A104. If I change this sheet number to A106 and I change this detail later on, it might become drawing number 4. The reference gets updated. So that's the big advantage with Revit. And when you've got big projects with lots and lots of details, it's a huge amount of work if just one of the details changes or one of the sheet numbers changes, because they always do. The amendments get added to your sheet numbers. Then you've got to go and change all the drawings. In AutoCAD, that's a lot of work. But if you do as much of it in Revit as you can, then all of the referencing's done for you.
So they have to be done separately. So, for example, if you have that 3 similar rooms and they don't all have different measurements, then you have to have 3 different panels.
Well, that's where Revit can make it difficult for you. There are ways of getting the same detail to go on different things, but sometimes then it can be easier to go back to AutoCAD. And remember, you can always take the sheets back to AutoCAD. So instead of exporting from a separate view, you can export from a sheet like this, and you'll get these views set up as viewports, and then you get the line work still in AutoCAD format that you can go and edit, and then you can just change the numbers and make it work the way you want it to. Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's right. You can. Yeah. Yeah. And so, and so the other thing though in Revit though that's a bit tricky in AutoCAD is that you can have shaded views, and for your design details. So for this assignment, it's going to be very similar to the work you'll be doing with John in terms of the detailing, but they're meant to be things that will go with your final presentation. So presented in a more design style, you can have shaded views or even realistic views that still include the still have the detailing showing as well, which is a really good way of presenting things. More hand drawing? Oh, right, yeah. Well, I don't know if Dinah's going to have the same approach. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Hand drawing? Right, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. So that's the other thing you can do with Revit. So if you have, so you've already got the things modelled, and so here if I've got, so I've got a view that shows that unit in 3D, and not that one. So it's here. So you can have exploded views of anything you've modelled in 3D just using your isometric views. So I'll yeah, I'll duplicate it again, and I'll rename it, and I'll call this just joinery unit 1. And so just using the section box. Sorry, just going to reveal mode to unhide it. So you can crop out as much as you want to, and then also, of course, just hide things as well. So I'll get this complete unit. There you go. Okay, so yeah, I've got the unit showing that I want, but I've got these things like columns also coming up there, so I can always just hide those the way you would normally. And all these other things. And maybe even the floor, so I'll hide that too. And the ground. Okay, so I've just got the unit, and so I'll just group that, and then the light box actually I'll keep. Alright, so I might want to show this split apart. So now I can duplicate this view, and so we'll call this one joining unit 1A, and then that's a family, so I'll just do these as separate things. So just to give an example. Yep, so I'll hide those. And then the original view I'll duplicate again. And we'll call this 1B. And hide everything else. Still got to hide these. And then, yeah, I'll do one more. Oh no, I'll leave the light box for later. So, okay, so then on the, I'll do another sheet. So you have to do the final setup on a sheet, but once you have that, I'll just change the scale of those actually. So make these 1 to 20. Alright, so the scales obviously need to be matching, and then now put both those views on sheets together. They will line up if you get the extension line. You can see hopefully there's a little dashed line coming up in the middle there that's showing those things are lined up. I'm just going to set those viewports to have no title. So that way you can show how things are assembled. So I could show these things separated, and I could, you know, further separate the stools, or, you know, if you had things that are assembled, you can break them apart that way as well. So it's probably clearer when you have units. Well, maybe this bench, I'd have to have that the screens separated. That's unfortunately a family, so I can't split that apart. But hopefully you can see from that how you have the exploded isometric views that you can have, you know, broken apart and then connected with a series of lines. So, you know, the dashed lines that you have in, well, you can just use detail lines for those. You know what I'm talking about? So, So that's basically their final position, but you can easily have those separated. Probably not the best example, but when you've got things that are need to be exploded, that's all you need to do. Just have them in separate views, and you can draw over the top on your sheets using detail lines to put in any extra lines that you want to show the connections. So you can draw any dash lines or other things. Oh, section box. So from the floor plan, like this, or like this, yeah, just with a section box. So in the view properties, you just need to make sure section box is turned on. Now I've hidden mine, so I'll unhide it and I'll do that from the beginning. Okay, so once you turn on the section box, it'll give you something like this, and you can use that to adjust what's being cut. Yeah, in any 3D view. Yep. Yep, sure. The section box? No, it's nothing to do with the call out. No. So it's just an option you have in any 3D view to turn on section box. So you have that tick box there. Yes. And then you'll see the section box, and then you can just adjust the side. Once you select it, you'll see the arrows that you can use to adjust what it's cutting. So maybe I'll do another one from scratch so it's a bit clearer. So starting with my original 3D view there, showing everything. I'll duplicate that view as always to begin with. So now I've got copy of 3D. I'll rename this and I'll call it 3D section box, just to make it clear. Okay, and so then in the view properties, you'll see over here you have that section box option. Now I can. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the initial view. That's right. The initial isometric view or non-perspective 3D. Yeah. Okay, so that's obviously showing just the building, but now I can cut back and start cutting inside it. So maybe I'll do one for the reception counter, which is around here. Okay, so that's cut away a lot of things. And it's a nice thing to have just if you need to cut through the ground, because you won't see the ground, the earth cut pattern in a 3D view normally if you don't cut it. Okay, so here I'm using the section box as much as possible to cut away the things around this reception unit that I want to show, but I'm having trouble with the top because once I go too close, it's going to cut the top of it, and if I go just above, it'll show the ceiling. So that's fine. I'm going to, well, firstly, I don't want to see that section box, so I'm going to hide it. So the section box is an object you can select. Obviously, you need to do that to adjust it, and then you can always right-click, hide in view, and then elements to get it out of the way. And then a good way of working with it again after you've hidden it is to use the reveal mode. So if you click on the light bulb, that'll unhide it, and you can still adjust it in that mode. Okay, so you can still change the size of it and do all those other things. So that's a really good way of working with it. And then click on the light bulb again, and it's back to normal. Yeah, if you want to have it unhidden, just select it, and then right click, unhide view in elements. Yep. Okay, so that's not the best, having the ceiling. I don't want that ceiling to get in the way, so you can always hide things in a view like this just like you would normally. So hide in view elements, I can hide the lights the same way. I'll hide the category to get rid of those completely. I don't want this wall or the floor really, or even that wall next to it. So I'll unhide those, I'll hide those things too. And you can see once we get to this stage that I've missed the back of this. Now it's there, it's just that it's part of the mass, so I'll just quickly add that in because my mass element is still there, so I can use the same method to create that piece that I did the other things. So I'll just check the wall type. Yeah, it makes you realise how much work it can all be. But okay, so there we go. So I've got all the pieces showing, and for the details you do, you should really try and include as much framing as possible here. But I just wanted to give you an idea again how I can do an exploded view with something like this. So again, I might hide the floor, and then with the view, which is just 3D section box, I might call that 3D section box reception. And then again, duplicate the view and call this section box 1A, and duplicate again, section box 1B, okay, so in 1A I'll hide the bench and the yep, so oh no, that's not right, so I'll hide the walls actually in this one. Yep, so I've got just the bench there, and yeah, that's alright actually. So then I'll do 1B with just the walls. Yep, that'll do. So I could take it apart further and have each of the walls as a separate thing, but again, just to give you an idea how this can be an exploded view on the sheet now. Put both of those views there. The scale for both of them is still 1 to 100. I can change that on the sheet, so I'll just select those and change them both here to 1 to 50. Again, turn the title off for both of them, so no title. And then just make sure they line up in a reasonable way, and so it's really placing that the way I want them to on the sheet. And then with detail lines to draw the connection. So with just a dashed line, you can draw just manually how you want those things connecting. So usually just the corner points. Well, actually that one might be better on the front. And that should line up with this point, so why is that not something a bit out there? Well, I just might cheat there. Shouldn't have to do that. No, there's something wrong there.
Sorry.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
In the 3D view,
Yeah.
in properties. So just make sure there's nothing selected. Oh, you've got to, yeah, and then just scroll down. You've got a section box there already, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hide it.
I'll select it and then right click and then hide in view element.
Sorry.
This one. Okay, so I don't know why these aren't lining up properly with my corner points. There's something going wrong there.
Even though I drew the room, I just built a completely separate Revit file perfect to the mirror.
Oh, right, yeah. No, you can just do, each one as a separate view, yeah. Yeah, I know, that's the thing. Then you can do that, but yeah, it's going to make it easier if you do them together. Okay, so there's something going on with my angles here. I hope I didn't orbit these differently. Okay, so I might just redo this second one. I think my view angle's changed. So there's one thing I didn't show you. Okay, so this one, 1A, I'll delete and just come back to 1B and get my other panels to come back. Really important thing actually I missed, so it's good in a way. Okay, so the lights I have to hide individually, and that's okay. And sorry, just coming out. Okay, so the thing I missed that's really important is locking the view orientation. So once you get the angle that you want, to keep that angle for your other subsequent views, it's really important that you save the orientation and lock the view. Because if you orbit the view at a different angle, then the exploded isometric's not going to make sense, because you'll have things viewed at different angles and it won't appear as though it's all taken from the one view. So really important option, that one, save orientation and lock view. You'll see on the view control bar there, and that will prevent you from orbiting to a different angle. So you can see I'm trying to orbit there and it won't let me. So that keeps the angle of your view. Okay, so now I'm going to rename this view. It'll be 3D section box reception 1 will do actually, and then I'll duplicate that and make this one just 2 to make it less confusing, and then duplicate again, and this can be 3. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, go for it. Okay, so now I'll do these panels separately, so I'll hide those in this view. Yeah, and then all of this as well. Yeah, okay, so that's the first one. Second one, actually I might, well, no, that's not. Okay, so the second one, again I'll hide some more elements, so this time, yeah, all of the walls. Yep, and then the third one, all those elements except the front walls. There we go, that'll work. Okay, so now back onto the sheet and finally can put this all together. Okay, so it's still got the first view there, the second one will go in between. Again, making sure it's no title. And then the third one, obviously on the other side, no title, and there we go, finally working. Okay, so I've got those three pieces, and again you can draw your dashed lines in then to connect them. And you know it's working when the angles are right. So actually don't like that angle, so I'll just move this piece over and then get the angle I want. Later on you can break that line if you want to. It's a neater thing to have it broken where it's crossing under something that's 3D, but I'll keep it as a continuous thing for now. So then I can copy it to the corner points, and what you should then see, there we are, perfect. Okay, so see how that's joining here to the point where it connects. Doesn't matter if you need to nudge it, that's okay, but as long as it's still connecting at the same angle, and then visually it makes sense. Okay, so then again I can copy those lines, and then, like I was saying, you can break them. So here where it's crossing over this 3D thing, you can use your normal editing tools like split to break that line, get rid of the part in the middle so it reads more like a 3D thing, and then to get the angles to connect on the other side, usually just need at least one. And I can line this up now. So it does take a bit of time to set it all up, but it's really worthwhile once you get it all working. So it's just got to come out a bit further. There we go. Okay, so again, now I can just copy that detail line from one view to the next. Or from one corner to the next. There we go. And again, where they go under 3D things, it's good to break them. So again, just with split, you can do that. Here it's a bit tricky. You probably would break it, even though it takes away a large part of it, and here too. There we go.
Like, since it's my mistake, well, could you do that? Or should you only really do it for like big joinery?
No, you can do it for anything. Absolutely anything.
Unless I have better access.
Yeah. Oh well.
Obviously, that's
Oh, the angles. It's the angles. You've got to keep the angles the same. So I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, that's the right idea. That's a good thing to do for something like that.
But you could do that and then
Yeah.
show like the section
Oh yeah.
that you drew before, like with that chair thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. 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 So that. Yeah, that works. Okay. So you'd want notes to go with that as well, but because I've turned the title off, you can't use the title very easily. You can try to do that with the tags, but often it's easier just to draw in text over the top instead. Yeah, I'm sure you know how to do text, so I'll finish that one up.